My name's Kenny Dial, and welcome to Season 2 of the Scuba Diving Podcast.
Rayna, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
First of all, we just got back from the boat and there was a lot of sharks.
Oh yeah, always.
And before we even get into this, thank you. We had
Of course.
a killer time. I was impressed. How'd you get started doing this?
Way back in the day, I got certified when I was 12, fell in love with it, knew I wanted to be marine science scuba instructor, and I really just never let that go. I have a degree in marine biology, got my first job at an aquarium when I was in college, but I was like, oh, scuba instructors have so much fun, like their life looks so fun. You're living in a destination, you're diving every day, so I was like, I'm gonna be a scuba instructor. So I took a year, after I graduated, and that year never really stopped. After I worked in the Keys, I knew I wanted to work with sharks, and so I came up here, and I've loved it ever since.
But it started with you wanted to become a scuba instructor.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it was the lifestyle that drew you in?
Yeah, the lifestyle, and I've always had a love for the ocean. I mean, I think marine biology would be really the driving catalyst, and when you're studying marine animals, you want to go see them, and so that involves scuba diving. And that's why I got more and more certified.
So you're actually working a boat, you give the briefings, you're loading tanks, but it didn't stop there. You also did the briefing for the dive, and you took us diving, and you're holding the float ball, the flag,
Yeah.
the reel, and the crate with the bait or the scent,
Yep.
and you're also filming.
Yes.
And I saw you pull out a professional camera and a GoPro
Yeah.
during the same dive. And you're keeping an eye out for everybody else. And you're controlling the dive.
You didn't start all with that. You got to work your way up. You can't just jump in the water with 2 cameras and bait and all this stuff.
So it's a task loading palooza
Yes.
going on.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of and we've seen it. We've seen new divers getting ready to jump off a boat, and they'll have a GoPro in their hand or something.
A dive
they'll go,
light, and
they'll just go, you know what, forget it, and they throw it, and then they just jump off because they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and it's task loading.
It's better to enjoy the experience. I remind myself sometimes, put the camera down, enjoy the experience. That memory is really what you want. That's why we're here, is that feeling of interacting with an animal underwater.
Speaking of interacting, I saw you doing quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
What was wild was particularly the lemon sharks were first, and they caught me off guard how many they were, how big they were, and how not scared of you they were.
Personal space. They really have no idea what that is. So they're just around you. They're super personable. They're actually social with each other, which is pretty rare for sharks. So they're amazing to interact with.
So we did the lemons, and I felt like I was in a Disney line or something. Whoa, it's packed
You're
over
like,
here.
why is everyone bumping me?
Yeah, and you just go, oh, and you think it's the person behind you, and you made this point. Your situational awareness is probably the most important thing here, and I see why now that we just did it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get comfortable, you're like, oh, this is a great shot. Wow, look at the shark. Look what Rayna's doing. You're like, oh, hey. They just kind of come up behind you.
Exactly. Like I was talking earlier, we require advanced certification in 30 dives. It's not a hard dive to do. It's actually really easy, but it's just, we want you to be aware in the water. We don't want you to be tooling with stuff. If you need help, I can't really give it to you. The situational awareness is the most important thing when diving with a large animal.
I was kind of surprised how easy the dive was, but it's only easy when diving off the boat is easy. And you work boats, so you know that's not something you just start out being good at. It's all the little things. Where's my this? Where's my that? It's the task loading.
And then dive, and that can be very stressful for someone who's not used to it.
So you're right, situational awareness was huge down there. But then we did the lemons, and we came up and we were mind blown. Then we did another drop.
Yes.
And 6 very big sharks came around. I counted at least 6 at one point, and they were bull sharks.
Yes.
And of course, the first thing everyone thinks when we're diving with bull sharks is, why are you diving with bull sharks?
Yeah.
And they pretty much just did the same thing.
They have a terrible reputation when they really don't deserve it,
Yeah.
People get bit way more by nurse sharks and lemons.
People get bit by nurse sharks.
Oh yeah. But have you seen at Compass K when people are floating with all the nurse sharks and one just comes up and grabs your arm and it's because you're not aware in the water.
You're right. Even when I was shooting, I would sometimes find oh,
he's
my
right
hand's
here.
out there. Yeah, or my fingers are dilly-dallying for no reason. Because normally it doesn't matter, but on this dive you do have to be aware of your little,
all your gauges
your little
too.
squids.
Yeah, all your fingers, all your toes.
Yeah, so that was interesting. But this was my first time being around bull sharks for any length of time. We've had them, they'll do a buzz by or whatever, but they were not shy. But you're right, they're not interested in us at all. They just come up and they're there, and it's very clear they only want what you have. They don't want your fingers. They don't want the thing itself. They know that there's something in it, and that is what they want.
They're not looking at me or you as food. That's not even on their mind. And it's because we're diving in clear water. If we were diving in super murky water and you were splashing around or swimming around, it might be a different story because I can't see. But since they can see, they know we're not food.
That brings me to the bigger question here. There's a lot of people that are opposed to shark tourism, diving in the water with sharks, particularly when there's bait. What do you say to that?
Honestly, if I could run a dive with absolutely no bait and show people these apex predators, I absolutely would. But because of the declining populations of sharks, we do actually need bait to have them come interact with us. We see year after year, all the sharks in this area specifically are migratory. They only spend part of their year here. And we do not affect their migratory patterns. Like, they leave like clockwork no matter how much bait we give them. And in the grand scheme of things, the bait that I give them is like giving you maybe a small bag of Cheetos. It's not a lot of food. It's not their whole meal, none of that.
So this isn't going to throw their diet or their eating patterns, is it?
No. As long as like you're not giving them anything crazy outside of their diet, which we're not. We make sure of that.
So you wouldn't want to like bring down like a pub sub?
They wouldn't eat it.
They wouldn't eat a pub sub?
No. And even certain fish they won't eat. Like, they know what they like.
Hold on. Would they eat Publix fried chicken?
Maybe.
It's too good.
Maybe.
Like.
It's funny though, if you're out on the boat and you're like eating a sandwich and you throw a little bit of bread, like they'll definitely come up and investigate it, but they'll spit it right out. Seen them try to eat avocados, like avocado peels, and they won't eat it. They'll spit it out. It's like a lion. Like, a lion's not going to eat bread or a banana or something like that. You know, they're apex predators. They are there to eat fish.
So we're not giving them pub subs. We're not giving them Publix fried chicken.
No.
All right, fine.
That's not in their diet. We're not going to do that.
Someone told me recently that they didn't like it because they feel like it's modifying sharks' behavior.
I don't necessarily like when people are like, oh, it's not modifying sharks' behavior. Anything we do in the ocean is modifying sharks' behavior. Fishing, boating, anything. Just our presence is going to make animals act differently. It's the same thing with birds, with lizards, whatever. Like, they're gonna react to our presence. But we give them way less fish than the fishermen ever will. Like, the fishermen, they're gonna take their fish more times than I could ever give them enough bait.
Yeah, you make a good point, because we were just out there. I saw what you had in the crate. It was just almost like almost a treat.
Yeah, very small treats.
It's a small amount, just enough to get them to come over and be like, oh, okay, all right, a little taste, whatever. All right. And then when it seemed to wind down a little bit, they pieced out.
Yeah.
In fact, it seemed kind of tricky you almost had to keep their attention, because as soon as they see that dwindling, they can go out and do their thing.
They're very smart, yeah. They know. You know, the thing is, like, I love the sharks, and I love when they come up and I get to give them affection, but, like, I'm not mistaking that they're there for my affection. They're there because I have food.
Do they like the...
Oh yeah, they
rubbing?
absolutely like it. And, you know, I probably could keep them around with that for a while. But at the end of the day, they're apex predators and they're there to get a meal.
They really do like the rubbing.
Yeah, so on a shark's nose, they have pores that kind of looks like blackheads. They're jelly-filled. It's called an ampullae of Lorenzini, and it's actually a sensory organ. And they can feel electrical pulses in the water. It's how they hunt. Some sharks like when you rub it. I don't really have a good comparison, but it's almost like when you scratch on a dog's belly and you find their, like, spot. And they kind of, you know, like their leg starts twitching, they lay back, their eyes start rolling back. I think it might be a little bit similar to that. Some sharks like it, some don't, but the lemons seem to love it.
So going back to the complaint some people had about this, just to clarify, you think that us going out on these kinds of trips is a net positive?
I'm able to show people sharks are not monsters right in front of their faces. People only care about what they see and interact with. If I can show someone a shark and that makes that person a shark advocate for their life, like, that is absolutely worth it. I'm able to talk to people about conservation and, you know, cool facts about sharks and teach people face to face every day. And I think that's so important. I'm also putting like a price on the shark alive instead of dead, where a fisherman could come out and kill that shark. They could take their photo with it, feel, you know, all strong for catching a shark, but then that shark is dead. If I bring people out year after year to meet Snooty, which you guys met today. She's been in this area for over 12 years. I've known her for 6. People will pay so much money to come see Snooty, and she is a renewable resource in this area.
Everybody down there is like, are the sharks okay? Like, you have a bunch of guardians of people that want to see those sharks healthy.
I will go toe to toe with anyone who wants to hurt them. Like, I'm the biggest advocate for them. Like, I think it's so important even to, like, you know, ask ourselves as an industry, is there anything more we can do to protect the sharks?
I think you're doing a good job. I saw it firsthand. You really did have a relationship with Snooty. I mean, Snooty comes over and we could hear underwater, you go, oh my gosh, Snooty! Yeah, and then you hear other people going, Snooty, Snooty!
Yeah.
You don't hear much underwater, but that was distinct.
She has her own Instagram. Like, people know her around the world. Her face being shared just shows that, like, sharks are cute and people like them, and, you know, they're not just like mindless monsters.
It was weird being down underwater and having a bunch of sharks swimming all around us, and then one come up and the crowd goes wild. It's like, who would have thought that there's a celebrity shark? And we're all like gushing. I look over and everyone's like,
oh my God, it's a celebrity. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, I don't see how this is anything but positive for the sharks.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Snooty, you're the one that got Snooty famous.
I don't think I got Snooty famous. She had an Instagram long before me. I just have put her on TikTok, and I think I'm the first person on TikTok to make Snooty famous that way.
What's Snooty's TikTok?
I don't think she has a TikTok. I've just posted her on mine, but she has her own Instagram, Snooty the Lemon Shark.
Do you remember the first time that you came face to face with Snooty?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I was diving as a customer. I actually didn't work here. I was still living in the Keys. I came up and visited, and I dove. And I saw her and I was like, immediately like, wow, that smile is amazing. Like, and she's got such a personality. I had all the usuals today, so like they were all kind of like all over me, but like sometimes Snooty is the only one that really wants to come in and say hi.
Her mouth looks different.
Yeah, so she's got like a mouth deformity, probably from birth is what we assume. We don't know for sure, because I mean, she's got a beautiful smile, that's all that matters.
What happened to your mouth?
Yeah, what happened to your mouth?
Yeah.
For a while, some people thought it was a fisherman, but it's so even that we're pretty sure that it is a deformity. We have some sharks that have it on half of their side, and it's because a fisherman has gaffed them and like broken their jaw, but her jaw is evenly broken, essentially.
Okay, but she seems fine.
Yeah, and
health-wise.
She does, and a lot of times people think that sharks with a deformity will be a little bit more in your face or a little bit, you know, go get them, because they might have had to adapt or overcome that disability. You know, she's definitely got a personality, but people love her for it.
Sure, it's like short man's complex. You gotta make up for it.
A little bit, yeah.
Wear a tall hat. That's how you do it. When the bull sharks came up, the first time you see a bull shark, and you see them coming, you know, like kind of coming in like a fighter jet, like psh,
yeah.
And it's the first time. I mean, it was like, okay, that's a bull shark, and it is coming toward me.
Yeah.
How did you feel the first time?
I mean, you definitely feel intimidated. They are large animals.
They weren't small.
They're not small. They're big here. I tell people all the time, if you don't want to be treated like prey, don't act like prey. You just stand your ground, and they're not looking at you like a snack. It's hard to feel that way the first time you see one come in and check you out, but you just have to remember that, like, you are not on their diet. You've never been on their diet, and you never will be on their diet. No shark is like, hey, screw that guy, I'm gonna go bite his leg off. No shark has ever said that. That's not what they're doing.
What would you say, because I have friends that work in the aquarium, and you know how we have a lot of battles to fight trying to educate people on aquariums, and there's a difference between good aquariums and bad aquariums. There's AZA accredited aquariums, and there's not AZA accredited aquariums and zoos. Christina Zanato said that there are good shark operations and bad shark operations.
Absolutely.
What makes a bad shark operation?
You know, people not knowing what they're doing, and there's no one way to learn to do this, but, you know, safety should be the #1 priority of any operation, no matter whether it's a shark operation or just scuba diving. And so if you don't see that at the forefront, that's a big red flag. The sharks come first in my world. Like, you know, I love my divers, I love my customers, and I will do whatever it is to protect them, whatever, but the sharks are why I'm here. And so if I see anyone harassing the sharks, whatever, that is a no-go for me. You're automatically kicked out of the water. If you don't see that person advocating for sharks, red flag.
Have you had to do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had people, you know, try to ride them, poke them in the gills. They're living animals. They deserve as much respect as anything else.
On one of these kind of dives?
Absolutely, yeah.
What'd you do?
I go
how'd
up
you handle it?
and I say, you up. And they look at me and I say, if that person doesn't go up, I have called an entire dive. And then every customer can be mad at that guy because that guy ruined the shark dive. I don't play around with that.
It doesn't sound like it.
No.
I'm a little nervous.
You wouldn't like it if I pulled your hat off, if I pulled your ear. You wouldn't like that either.
No, definitely not the hat. Oh. I shrank. Boom. And a little. This is where my powers come from. So what was that like? You had to pull somebody because they were mistreating the sharks.
Yeah.
It's like about an hour ride back.
It's a very awkward ride.
I was about to say, a little awkward.
The nice thing about my boss and this company is he gives me full control of the dive, which is really nice. So if I see something, he expects me to say something and do something about it. It's not like wishy-washy, oh, let me ask my boss. Like, he trusts my judgment. I trust everyone who works here's judgment, and I think that's a really good thing to have in this industry. Oh, and 99% of the people absolutely are amazing divers on this dive and follow my rules. It's all, you always have that one person.
Well, that's the story, though. Like,
that's the story.
The awkward ride back to me, I think of all of it, is just the ooh.
And people absolutely understand. They're mad at that person.
What was that ride back? I mean, awkward, but did they cool off? Did they get it? Or were they just like this the whole time?
It was honestly not super bad until we got back to the dock, you know, because people will say something where they can run away. You know, on the boat, you're kind of confined. Yeah. So, you know, you kind of give you a quick, like, screw you guy, and then you run away. You know, that's how most people did it.
You have a wildly famous TikTok. What's your TikTok handle?
Ocean Rays Photography.
All just together, one word?
All just together, one word.
And the same thing on Instagram?
Same thing on Instagram and my website.
The big Ocean Rays Photography.
Yeah, that's the one that...
That's how I ended up here, actually. I think we were commenting back and forth on this
TikTok, yeah. TikTok. It's amazing that you can, you know, find people on the internet and, like, go diving. I've done the same thing.
Here we are.
Honestly, a great way to find a good dive charter is to go to the location that you want to dive, look at people's photos, DM that person, ask them how it went. I've done it before, or DM the dive shop on Instagram. I think it's a resource that people don't use enough.
So really no big, like, write home about, near miss, oh my gosh.
No.
And you've done it this is where we need to cue the B-roll to show what you're doing every single day. Just about, that the weather allows you.
Yeah, and we do it scuba diving and snorkeling. So we're even able to take people who, you know, have never been in the ocean or are not scuba certified out to see sharks, which I think that is almost more important because you get people who are vacationing from all over the world, you know, that don't have access to the ocean. They think sharks are terrifying. They've seen Jaws, they're done. They're terrified. And then they come out, the first 30 seconds, they're like, oh my God. And then they realize that the sharks don't care about them and they get to swim around, and people all the time say it's like the best experience they've ever had.
Well, I'll let you retell everyone what you told me. And I asked you, you're out here every day, like at some point does the thrill wear off? Do you get tired of it? Do you get bored? Like, do you need the next thing? And you were like, no.
No, I love it. I mean, the fact that you're interacting with an apex predator is so cool. You can't do that with like almost any other apex predator. You know, you got to learn their behaviors and, you know, see them grow. You can tell when the lemons are pregnant. It's funny, we get all of our seasons here. They all migrate. So when the lemons leave, I get the summer sharks. And then I miss the lemons, and then the summer sharks come and I love them, and then they leave and I miss them. So it's really cool. And being able to do it scuba diving and free diving keeps it fresh.
There's very few things in life where people don't eventually get tired of it, no matter how good. And so far you haven't, so that's saying something.
But I still never get tired of taking pictures of their cute little faces.
I saw you had that camera out on this dive.
Yeah, Snooty, her smile, I will never get tired of taking a picture of that.
Is there something in the shark diving industry you see people doing, people that are doing a similar thing, that you actually just passionately disagree with?
I don't think we are collaborative enough as an industry, you know, pinning each other against ourselves, or, oh, I'm the best one, or I do this the best way. I think everyone should talk together to make sure that we're doing the best practices for customers, for sharks, for the industry as well. I think if we all banded together a little bit more, we could probably conserve them a little bit better. You can't do this without deeply loving sharks. And that's the goal, is making sure that they are here, reproducing, safe, healthy, all that stuff.
So, like, it seems to be that anytime people don't talk negative about the others and they just are welcoming, they work together, those are the ones doing well. More people that are diving,
the better. The more people who are going to love the ocean and more people are going to protect the ocean. That is like the bottom line.
That's why we're here, folks.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this channel. What would you tell everyone that is opposed to doing these shark dives?
Really come and view it with an open mind, and I think your mind would be changed. There's nothing in this world that is black or white. Like, there's going to be a negative and a positive to almost anything. And I think the positives outweigh the negatives. This community needs this. This has been such a heavily fishing community, Florida in general. I think really pushing for ocean advocacy through laws, through action is what we need. And you can't have that without people going out and seeing the sharks.
There you go. Which one do you like being around more, sharks or gators?
Sharks. And it's just because I understand them more. If I knew more about gators, if that's what I studied in school, I probably would like them more, but they're just not something I'm super comfortable with.
What do you say to the very unproductive debate that people will get spiraled into of which one's more dangerous, the shark or the gator?
Probably the gator, just because like they can be in your pond at your golf course and you have no idea. So they can sneak up on you a little bit more.
They can come out.
Yeah, I'm not about to be bit by a shark standing on this dock.
You're good.
Like gators, they can be lurking kind of anywhere, I guess. I don't know.
It's an understanding thing.
Yeah, it's an understanding. Yeah, the more I understand sharks, the more I want to be around them. So.
Does the megalodon still exist?
It does not, and I can go in forever about the megalodon. It does not exist.
Okay.
I'm very passionate about that.
Before people come out on this boat, is there something you wish that you could tell every person that seems like no matter how many times you put it in the waivers, the emails, the websites, they just always show up forgetting this one thing or not doing this one thing? What is it?
Please bring a full wetsuit. If you have one, please bring it. We have them, but yes, you do need to wear a full wetsuit. We wear all black and gloves just because our hands are super white and sharks see in high contrast, so we want to make sure that we are covered from head to toe. It makes things a lot safer. But that's why we have tons of extras, because we know people forget it. It is on the website, but
full coverage,
full
darker
coverage.
colors.
Yes.
Snooty came up to us today.
Yes.
And decided to donate two
teeth, yes.
Two of her teeth, which I actually saw you catch one, which was amazing, in pretty much blue water. Mm-hmm. So Snooty gave you 2 teeth today.
Yeah, and I mean, I catch teeth all the time from different sharks. Sharks have a conveyor belt of teeth and they're constantly losing them. They can lose up to like 50,000 in their lifetime, which is crazy. We have 40, I think. So they can bump into things, or while they're eating, they lose teeth, and that's how I get them. And they're really cool because they're white and fresh compared to the ones that you find like on the beaches that are fossilized. And it's, you know, a sustainable way, because if you see fresh teeth like in a jewelry store or a souvenir shop, that shark has been killed for those teeth.
Oh, that's...
So you don't want to buy white teeth unless you know the person got them from the ocean.
Which I saw you do today.
Yes.
From Snooty.
Yes.
The fact that you're like feeding, catching teeth, like that was a lot. You're holding the line, you're holding the crate, and you're holding cameras, and it's like, oh, shark, tooth, caught it, glove, shark, tooth, caught it, glove. And I saw this. We might have proof, but I've been diving a couple times.
Yeah.
That I knew immediately that I was in over my head at first. Like, I'm not gonna get up there. My dream shot, maybe next time, was like right when you're feeding. I wanted just to be like right here, and I'm like, you know what?
Maybe
Stay
next
right
time.
here. Yeah. I'm just, you know, and I wasn't sure what the boundaries were anyways, but I was like, you know what, this is not the day to push it. You gotta learn. But I realized very quickly that you gotta know what you're doing to do this.
I think like a understanding of shark behavior definitely helps. We'll see people occasionally go out on their own boats with their own bait, and it's just not a good idea. One, because for your safety, and also for the sharks. If someone gets bit and it's that person's fault, which it usually is, like if they're doing something stupid, the shark gets blamed, you know, and the shark suffers. So definitely go out with a like certified crew that is there for your safety, who has an understanding of behavior. So I'm not just holding the crate, I'm also scanning all the sharks, making sure they're all in a good mood, all that kind of stuff.
I don't think you stopped scanning and moving once. I noticed that. You were keeping a pretty solid 360.
Yeah.
And
you gotta.
Well, it was amazing to watch. Thanks for taking us out on the water.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for introducing us to Snooty.
I'm so happy she showed up. She's not a guarantee, but she is a local celebrity, and I'm glad she showed up for you guys. She knew the cameras would be there. She is a little bit of an attention whore, but that's, you know, she is what it is. We love her for it.
Well, Rayna, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful to have to dive with you and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks for listening or watching if you're on one of the supported video platforms. If you want all things Sweetwater, like a signed copy of my children's book, merch like this shirt or the hat, online courses, or if you want to advertise for your dive facility, if you just want to follow us, go to sweetwaterscuba.com. You can follow my TikTok at Kenny_Dial, KENNY_DYAL. Our Instagram account, Sweetwater_Scuba. Of course, the Down to 60 channels on all major platforms, and everything else we're doing to lift the underwater world. Thanks for being here, and let's show the rest of the world the rest of the world.